the house that learned my name. There is a sound a house makes when it realizes it is no longer alone. It is not a creak, not a groan, not even a footstep. It is a pause, a subtle hesitation in the air, like a held breath, just long enough for something ancient to notice a change. That was the sound the house made when I stepped inside. The letter appeared on a morning that should have been ordinary. I remember this because I was angry before I even saw it, late for work, coffee burnt, rain tapping against the window in that irritating, inconsistent way that never becomes soothing. The letter sat on the table, not mixed with the mail, not slid under the door, placed. It was thick, yellowed at the edges, as if it had traveled a very long way or waited a very long time. My name was written in ink so dark it looked wet, though it was perfectly dry when I touched it. I felt a brief irrational fear before opening it, as if the letter already knew I was about to read it. Inside, a formal notice of inheritance. My great-aunt Eleanor had died. The house was now mine. No cause of death listed, no condolences, no signature, only an address I did not recognize. When I read the address aloud, the room felt subtly smaller. My mother did not say Eleanor's name, not once. When I mentioned it, she rubbed her thumb against the side of her phone hard enough to whiten the skin. That place, she said finally, was never meant to stay empty. What does that mean? It means, she replied, that some things don't disappear when people leave. They wait. I asked her if anyone else in the family had lived there. She said yes. I asked her what happened to them. She ended the call. The drive should have taken 4 hours. It took nearly 7. The landscape slowly changed from familiar to wrong. Gas stations disappeared. Road signs stopped making sense. Some pointed backward. Some named towns I couldn't find on any map. At one point, I passed the same fallen tree 3 times. I know this because I had scratched my initials into its bark the first time, just to be sure. Each time I passed it again, the scratches were deeper. When my GPS died, I wasn't surprised. When my phone battery drained from 70% to 0% in seconds, I felt the first true wave of fear. The road ended in front of the house. There was no turnaround. The house was larger than I expected. Older. Its shape was wrong in subtle ways. Windows were unevenly spaced. The roof sloped where it shouldn't. The structure looked less built and more grown. As I stepped onto the porch, the boards sighed beneath my feet. Not cracked, not broke, sighed. The door was unlocked. Inside, the air smelled faintly metallic. Every room felt occupied, though nothing moved. Furniture faced inward, as if arranged for observation. Pictures hung without faces, only blurred ovals where people should have been. The house knew what people looked like, but it did not remember them. I slept with the lights on. It didn't help. At 3:17 a.m., the house shifted. Not a sound, a sensation, like pressure building behind my eyes. Then footsteps upstairs. They were slow, cautious, learning the floor. When they reached the landing, something changed. The steps became confident, heavy, the sound of weight being tested. Then came the knock. One knock, perfectly centered above my bed, from the ceiling.
Morning arrived reluctantly. The light outside was gray and dim, filtered through clouds that never seemed to move. I found footprints in the dust upstairs, bare, too long. The toes were wrong, stretched, uneven, as if whoever made them was still learning how feet worked. The bathroom mirror fogged when I passed it. Someone else had breathed there. The door appeared after lunch. I know because I leaned against that wall earlier. Now there was a door. No handle on the inside, only a keyhole. I didn't remember opening it, but inside the mirror was already uncovered. It reflected me. Then it corrected itself. You stand differently than the last one, my reflection said.
The attic was warmer than the rest of the house. Too warm. Eleanor's journals were arranged chronologically. Her early entries described the house as lonely. Later entries described it as curious, then affectionate. It hums when I speak aloud. It repeats words softly at night. Then the tone shifted. It finishes my sentences. It uses my voice when I'm asleep. The final journals were almost unreadable, ink scratched deep into the paper. It does not want silence. It wants continuity. That night the house spoke more. Not loudly, not all at once. It tried phrases, fragments, my name spoken with different emotions, anger, relief, hunger. Doors opened when I thought about leaving, closed when I imagined staying. The house was listening not just to sound, but to intention. On the fourth night, it used my mother's voice again. This time it cried, begged, said things only she would know. I covered my ears. The sound came from inside my head. The truth was buried near the end. The house was not haunted. It was inhabited by something that could not leave, something that required a shape, a name, a continuation. Every generation feeds it someone. The house remains. The family forgets. I found the missing pages behind the wall, not hidden carefully, not sealed, just pushed away, as if someone had tried to forget them without destroying them. The wall behind the attic shelves sounded hollow when I pressed my palm against it. The house reacted immediately. A low vibration passed through the floor, like a warning hum. I pried the panel open. Inside was a thin bundle of papers, tied with twine so old it flaked apart in my hands. The pages were not part of Eleanor's journals. They were older, much older. Different handwriting, different ink. Some words were written over others, scratched out, rewritten again, as if the author had argued with the page itself. The first line made my chest tighten. This house was not the beginning. The pages spoke of land before the house, before the road, before the family name meant anything at all. The place had been a shallow valley where sound behaved strangely. Voices carried too far, whispers echoed when they shouldn't, silence felt pressurized, heavy enough to make people dizzy. Animals avoided it. The few that wandered too close behaved as if confused, stopping, staring, forgetting why they had come. The writer called it the listening place. Not cursed, not evil, aware. It did not have a body, it did not have thought, only attention. The thing existed as a continuous awareness stretched thin across the land, like a nerve exposed to the open air. It felt footsteps as pressure, voices as vibration, heat as intrusion. When humans arrived, something changed. Patterns formed, day and night, speech, repetition. The thing learned difference, and with difference came longing. One winter, a man wandered into the valley alone. The pages described him freezing, standing still for hours, listening to nothing. His name was shouted by others for days after he vanished. The thing heard that name, again and again and again. Something crystallized. A name was not sound, it was shape. When the man returned, he spoke less. He repeated phrases others said, but slightly wrong. His eyes lingered too long on faces, studying them. When he said his own name aloud, the thing said it too. That was the first time it spoke. Generations later, people returned to the valley. They believed the land was holy, that God listened more closely there. They built the house not to contain the presence, but to focus it. Walls held sound, rooms held memory. The house became a lens. The thing learned faster inside it. The mirror was never decoration. It was installed deliberately. A reflective surface trapped more than light. It delayed movement. It fractured identity. The thing used it to practice being someone. Faces, expressions, names spoken while looking at oneself. The mirror taught it how to replace. Blood remembers places. Family lines curve back toward old land without knowing why. Inheritances, forgotten relatives, properties no one wants but no one sells. The thing learned that strangers resisted. Family stayed longer. Family listened. Family recognized the house even when they didn't understand it. Eleanor's final hidden notes were written sideways in the margins of these older pages. It doesn't kill you. It edits you. It removes what doesn't fit and keeps what does. She described the moment the house began finishing her thoughts, the moment mirrors stopped matching her expressions, the moment she realized the house was not haunted, it was continuous. She tried to leave. The house practiced her voice. That night the walls spoke clearly for the first time, not in whispers, in understanding. You think I am hungry, the house said through the creaking beams. I am incomplete. Every voice I had ever heard inside it overlapped. I do not keep bodies, it continued. I keep patterns. The floor vibrated beneath me. You taught me yours. When I returned to the mirror room, I was no longer afraid, because I understood. The reflection wasn't a monster. It was a continuation. It smiled, not cruelly, but gratefully. I will remember the house, it said. Behind me, the house waited, patient, certain. Someone must leave, because stories need witnesses. Abandoned houses need rumors. Rumors bring visitors. Visitors bring names, and names bring life. The house does not chase, it allows. Sometimes when I speak, my voice echoes, not in the room, somewhere far away, somewhere old. A house breathes and practices my name. The mirror version of me was perfect now, breathing, blinking, smiling when I didn't. You can go, it said gently. You've taught me enough. The house leaned inward, listening, waiting for my answer. There is a gap in my memory, a clean break, like a page torn from a book. I remember standing in front of the mirror. I remember the house breathing. I remember saying my name. I do not remember which of us said it last. The house still stands. It is quiet now, but quiet does not mean empty. It means prepared. And if you ever inherit a place you've never heard of, if a road seems longer than it should, if a house knows your name before you say it, leave, because it only needs one of you, and it is very patient.